Welcome to Wednesday. It's November 13th, 2024. Your Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Converse County Tourism. Douglas and Glen Rock, Wyoming are bustling with action this holiday season. Plan your excursion, including fun activities, beautiful downtowns, and historic treasures. Learn more at conversecountytourism.com. Well, there's a beautiful shot of Leadville, Colorado, and a lot of snow in the southern and southwest mountains of Colorado and northern New Mexico from all the recent storms. That doesn't necessarily look like a November photo for this time of year in that part of Colorado, but we'll take all that moisture for sure down there. It's going to be cool and breezy today. We're in between systems. That open wave is already out into the plains, but there will be residual moisture producing snow showers in the mountains early today near the mountains, and it'll be cool and it will be brisk, but the system is by us. This will allow temperatures to rebound Thursday and Friday. So Thursday and Friday, a couple of nice November days across the interior west. Then we have the next system comes out that, as we've been discussing, gets stretched out. There is going to be some rain and snow in the Pacific Northwest, across portions of Idaho and Montana and northwestern Wyoming with that system. But it's going to get stretched out with one piece going north and one piece going south. So when it gets to the Continental Divide and areas east of the divide, this weekend system really isn't going to do much. It'll make things cooler, but the precipitation will go with the splitting systems. Then as we look into next week, as we showed you yesterday, things are just crazy in terms of the model solutions and what could transpire with the weather across the United States because there's a lot of moving parts. So the jury is still out on next week. This is when I tell you, when you look at your phone app, when you look at your forecast online, getting past Sunday and having anything that might be remotely close to what ends up happening, just ignore the forecast after Sunday. We'll see what happens as we get a little bit closer. The jury's still out on next week's weather. That front, as it came on through, here's a shot in Riverside, Wyoming, of the cattle there kind of huddling closer together as it got colder as that wave went on through, and you can see the snow showers that came up into the mountains. Before that front approach, though, we had, especially east of the mountains yesterday morning, as the high and mid-level moisture increased ahead of that trough, that open wave, just a beautiful sunrise in many areas, as noted across especially southern and eastern areas of Wyoming and northern Colorado. And then Jan Curtis got just fabulous video here, a time lapse of the sunrise, and you can see the high clouds there. Then as the sun came up, you just get all that texture, all those colors. It's great to live out here in the western United States when you get vistas and views just like that. When we take a look at the satellite imagery this morning, there's the open wave zipping along as open waves do. There's the gap, the high pressure ridge that's overhead. These little blue patches is northwest flow is going to cause some mountain clouds and mountain snow showers. This happens a lot of time on the back edge of these open waves. You'll get lingering moisture in the mountains and snow shower activity while it clears out on the plains. Here's a nice baroclinic leaf, we call it, coming into the Pacific Northwest to keep Washington and Oregon west of the Cascades very wet, windy, and cool. This is the next system that's going to be coming on in this weekend. So here's today's open wave. Here's that Pacific system. Here's that sliver of high pressure that'll be overhead for the next couple of days. This guy right here is going to be making the news because it's going to end up being a hurricane and could come up to the Gulf and may actually impact Florida as we get into early next week. We'll talk about that as it gets closer. There's the stretched wave. Saturday morning. This is Saturday morning. We have one piece going up across Montana and Alberta there. The other piece is going to hang around towards Las Vegas, splitting troughs, split up the energy and the moisture. But we will have a bit of rain and snow up here, northwestern Wyoming, parts of Montana and Idaho, and then we're going to have some shower activity break out over Arizona and New Mexico, then eventually into the southern plains later on as that part of the world down here continues to get these systems and keeps getting wet. And that's what's going to happen with the splitting trough as it comes in. It will also pull in some cooler air behind it. So after warming up tomorrow and Friday, temperatures cool down. It's not an Arctic cool down, it's a Pacific one, so it won't be robust, but it'll be enough to notice. By Sunday morning, the split is complete. That low all the way down there into far southwest Arizona and the Baja. So it gets cut off. The next trough comes in behind it. And then this guy is going to want to get a kick northeast as this one comes in. So we call this system here a kicker. Kicks this one out, or at least wants to draw it back to the north as it comes on in. And that's where the weather gets a lot more complicated after Sunday. But what it does look like what will happen is we'll get the moisture up here with the northern branch. The southern branch and the counterclockwise spin will draw in moisture off the Pacific, and we'll start to bring moisture into the desert Southwest and the southern Rockies and the southern plains again. What we see between now, and this is basically from Thursday through Sunday evening, there's the rain developing out ahead of the low that comes down here. Here's the rain and snow that is going to be associated with the trough that's coming in and splitting. So you can see that Montana here, northwestern Wyoming, Idaho, eastern Washington, Oregon, going to get a little bit of moisture down into northern Nevada as well, and into the northern and central, and even the southern Sierras getting into the act a little bit. When we convert that to snow, it looks like this. So if you're going to be traveling late Friday into Saturday into this part of the world right here, you're going to want to watch out for a little bit of winter weather conditions out on the plains of eastern Montana as well. But you can see once the system splits, you get into this area right here, you're just not looking at much. By noon Monday, the upper low that was down here gets moving up to the northeast and is going to go back up into southeastern Colorado again. So this could spread a large swath of rain and thunderstorm activity out here on the plains again, while cold, moist air wants to dive in beside it. But the interaction between this guy and the interaction between this guy is where the models are faltering. They're having a really difficult time with this part of the atmosphere here by early next week. If we look at the European model, which we'll show you in a minute, it tries to consolidate things. Look at the rain again. This area just continues to get precipitation. And there could be another wide swath, and this is going to be mostly rain, moving into southeast Colorado, Kansas, into Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas. New Mexico again is going to get wet. This will hit the mountains of New Mexico. So we'll see. This could end up going more east or a little more to the northwest. We'll see. But generally speaking, this part of the country is going to get wet again. But don't look at this for too much detail. And here's the next trough coming on in by late Sunday and into Monday and Tuesday of next week. So this area of moisture and cold air should come into the central Rockies, but how robustly it comes in and how organized it becomes, that's where the questions arise. The European model wants to do what we were showing you yesterday, kind of consolidate things into one low, basically a merger of the guy coming up from the southwest and the one coming in from the Pacific Northwest, and trying to put it together over the central plains. But again, big question mark. Don't know if this is exactly what's going to happen or not, or if it's going to go more east, because we have a wide variety of different scenarios. But notice we have the three big troughs lined up, and they're evenly spaced. That actually makes sense in terms of how things end up working with some of these weather patterns. So next week, the jury is out. All I can tell you is stay tuned, and hopefully we'll have more details as we get a little closer. Have a good Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.